interesting situation occurring where Sean Hannity is completely humiliating himself within the context of a testimony he gave, revealing he didn't believe the election lies, but yet he propped up people and put people on his platform who were perpetuating those lies 2020 and beyond. As Mediaite outlines here, Sean Hannity testified under oath in a deposition that he did not believe former President Donald Trump's claims about voting machine fraud in the 2020 election, according to a piece published by the New York Times on Wednesday. So this is coming from the New York Times, but Mediaite had a little bit more of a concise breakdown. The Fox News host responded to a question about allegations made by Sydney Powell. If y'all remember, Sydney Powell was that incredibly bonkers lawyer, a former federal prosecutor who represented Trump in election-related lawsuits. Trump falsely claimed the election was rigged against him. Powell alleged that states that used voting machines made by Dominion voting systems were rife with fraud. And she was the one talking about how these machines were created by Hugo Chavez, and then now they're being used to steal elections in the United States. She reiterated the claim on Hannity's Fox News program on November 30th, 2020, a couple weeks after the election was called for Joe Biden. Powell stated there had been corruption all across the country in countless districts. And then it continues to go on, and then down here is part of this testimony that's so fascinating, it gets outlined. At the center of this imagined plot were machines from Dominion voting systems, which Ms. Powell claimed ran an algorithm that switched votes from Mr. Trump to votes for Joseph R. Biden Jr. Dominion machines, she insisted, were being used to trash large batches of votes. Mr. Hannity interrupted her with a gentle question that had been circulating among election deniers despite a lack of supporting proof. Why were Democrats silencing whistleblowers who could prove this fraud? Did Mr. Hannity believe any of this? Quote, "I did not believe it for 1 second." That was the answer Mr. Hannity gave under oath in a deposition in Dominion's $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox News. I did not believe it for 1 second. If you were bringing people onto your platform to tell these lies, and then you know internally you don't believe in any of it, even if you're not the one screaming about the lies, but instead just platforming people who are and not pushing back significantly, that is deeply immoral and dangerous. And it's how a lot of these lies get spread, because maybe some of the people within the leadership part of these movements believe the lies, but for the most part, it's a bunch of people who don't believe the lies but have some incentive to tell them. And so with Sean Hannity, his audience wanted to hear this type of stuff, so he did allow them to hear it and did not speak out against it in any significant way, and allowed millions of people to be lied to and have their minds manipulated into believing some wild stuff about our election processes that absolutely were not true. And Sydney Powell being just the most crazy example of those lies getting spread. And so I hope in some way Sean Hannity is held accountable for this, as well as all these other individuals who helped to convince so much of America of these lies, while many of the people doing that didn't even believe them themselves, which is the most dangerous type of person and dangerous type of rhetoric in my mind. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get a full extra show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there's a link in the description.